And there we are. Welcome, everyone. Welcome
Hello.
to the stream. You can hear my good friend and co-host Livia as well.
Hi.
This is the live recording for episode 4 of the Quill and Vial podcast. And today we are going to be talking about many things. But first I'll introduce myself. I'm a cynical alchemist, cynical alchemist, or Dave, whatever you like to call me. I'm a gamer, a scientist in real life. I'm a sometime modder. Most of the time I just spend my time in Tamriel in Elder Scrolls Online, which I stream on Twitch. And that's pretty much me in a nutshell, and I'll hand over to my co-host.
Oh, hi. Yeah, I am Livia. I am a longtime fan of the Elder Scrolls series. Been playing these games for over a decade now, probably close to 15 years. But big fan. Always have been. I like to meme about things a lot on the Elder Scrolls. If you follow me on Twitter, and that's that's pretty much me. What we do in this podcast is we use our specialties in real life and kind of tailor them towards some Elder Scrolls topics. And I'm medieval literature focused study. I've studied that, and Cynical is a real life alchemist, a chemist, and we try to tailor that into the world of Tamriel and Nerd.
That's a nice introductory segment there. So we've actually got Twitch chat filling up with folks. This is wonderful.
Oh, nice.
So Elm Knight's here, Real Tony is here, Galactic Emperor Batman is here. It's fantastic. It's great to see so many people in the live stream chat for today's episode.
Yeah, absolutely.
And as Livia mentioned, I am a chemist in real life. Normally in these podcasts, I have a long segment where I delve into the alchemy of the Elder Scrolls universe. Today will be slightly different. I don't have a big alchemy segment for us today, but because we have so much to talk about with the reveal that we just had.
Yeah.
And it's that's going to fill up most of the time that we have for the podcast. Alchemy will return in episode 5, but for now, let's focus on the whole swag of information that we have to talk about today.
Definitely.
Just picking up in chat, Real Tony's. Of course, Real Tony is the creator for Tamriel Journeys and Westland Journeys.
Oh yeah. Hi.
So another content creator is in chat. So hey, nice to see you, Tony.
Yes, good to see you.
So, well, I mean, it's been a while since we last had the podcast. The last episode was the end of November, so we've had essentially almost 2 full months of Elder Scrolls exploration. So before we get into the actual reveal and the stuff that's going to happen this year, tell me what you've been up to, Liv. What you've been doing in Elder Scrolls since we last podcasted.
Oh man, I've been playing Skyrim, as a lot of you know. I've just been getting so into it again. It's like it's obviously nostalgia that's driving me, but it's really I don't know. It's like I'm playing the game for the first time again, yet with knowledge of things that I want to do, like that I maybe didn't do in my first play. Well, not my first. I played this game through so many times, but this is like I feel like this is my definitive playthrough. You know?
Ah, the elusive definitive playthrough. So it's like the Spartans chasing that beautiful death, that ultimate end point of a journey.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I feel. Like I'm gonna complete it to its fullest. Yeah, I'm not gonna be done soon, but I'm gonna complete it to its fullest and explore every aspect and really taking my time through it, which is nice. And survival is forcing me to take my time because I can't fast travel anywhere.
Well, yes. I mean, the survival mode of Skyrim does make the game more prolonged, more hazardous.
Yeah.
But I guess it gives more adrenaline, which is a good thing, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely does. Yeah. How about you? I mean,
Oh, geez, December and January were pretty full for Elder Scrolls Online content for me. I spent a lot of time in Cyrodiil over the Christmas vacation. People who've followed my streams will have seen that I actually managed to become Emperor of Cyrodiil in one of the campaigns, PvP campaigns. So that was a lot of effort over the Christmas break. I had about 2 weeks off work, and I was able to spend a lot of time grinding away in Cyrodiil, fighting, capturing keeps, and yes, I now have a glorious throne in my house, my proud spire house, a costume that's that looks ostentatious and says "Hold my beer," and a lovely dye, a red dye for my Fashion Scrolls obsession.
The title that I'm looking at right now.
Yes, indeed. I have it on this character. You can't see it on stream because I've basically blanked the UI, so we can just focus on the fantastic interior of Livia's house. But if you could see the title above my character's head, and we'll come back to titles later in this podcast, actually.
Yes, we will.
You would see former Emperor beside my character's name. It's just something to have a little bit of swagger, so you can just strut around in Tamriel and of course in Cyrodiil with that beside your name, and people know that you've at the very least spent 30 days repairing keep walls. Which is,
exactly. What do you call it? PV wall?
Yeah, PV door, PV wall.
PV door.
Cyrodiil's janitor. These are other titles that could be used. It's difficult to get Emperor without having to really grind the AP, the Alliance point currency. You only get Emperor when you've been top of your faction's leaderboard for a generation of Alliance points. And you have to get them wherever you can, whether that's from the Cyrodiil daily quests, this PvE quest, whether it's from actual PvP, whether it's from keep capture, which can often just be PvE, or indeed repairing walls and doors. So yes, that's just the way it is. That's the way you get to the top of the table. You take your AP where you can get it.
Gotta do what you gotta do, yeah.
Yeah. But other than that, I've been trying to flesh out my 6 characters, my 6 classes. Trying to get some gear for them. I've been having a bit of fun trying to come up with monster sets that are appropriate for my different classes. So I've got my Selene or Stormfist for my Sork. I've got Nerienth for my Templar. I've got Iceheart for my Warden, Veladrith for my Nightblade, and I'm still working on the last 2 for my Necromancer and my Dragon Knight. For Dragon Knight, I want to get Zans, which is difficult because that's what you get from Vet Scalecaller, which is not an easy dungeon. And for my Necro, I need to get Kianar, which is Vet's. It's your favourite dungeon. It's the one with the.
Unhallowed Grave?
Yeah, Unhallowed Grave. Yes.
That one's a good one.
El Timtor's just jumped into chat. Nice to see you, El Timtor.
Hi.
So yeah, it's been a bit of it's been quite varied over the last couple of months. Very varied. Yeah, that's been my Tamriel encounter since we last podcasted.
Yeah, I think I've been doing a little bit of ESO stuff, but Skyrim's really got me.
Yes. So I'd say there hasn't been much news on the Skyrim front. I think Skyrim Anniversary Edition's been ticking along nicely, but we just had literally 16 hours ago. I think it was 24. It was about 30 hours ago. 30 hours ago. We had the reveal.
a small reveal, just a small reveal. Nothing big, nothing major, or anything like that.
Yes, just a little bit of news for the game, a little bit of news. And Tony's in chat saying that he couldn't see the reveal because he was at work and he had to try and avoid spoilers until he got home. And there were lots of spoilers to be had.
Seriously,
the night was dark and full of spoilers. Indeed,
it was. Yeah.
So we had the reveal. I mean, for those who caught it, just a quick recap of the structure of the event. It was your classic 30-minute, professionally produced reveal of all the content for the year, which was essentially the cinematic trailer, Pete Hines, Rich Lambert, Matt Ferror, Lehman Tuttle, and their art creative director, whose name I've forgotten, which is a shame because he gave a nice little presentation. So they give a quick 30-minute scripted and professionally recorded broadcast, which gave us all the information. And then they had the post-show, which was Gina and Finn and, what's her name? The actual senior community manager,
Jessica.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So they went into lots of detail about what this year's content will be. And as has been common in previous years, we have the standard structure and they're not deviating from it. We will have a dungeon DLC in March, we will have a chapter in June, we will have a dungeon DLC probably towards August time, and then we'll have a story DLC sometime around November time. That's the model they've had for the last 3 years of content, and they're continuing with it.
Yep.
But Olivia, what were your let's start big picture. Let's start big picture. What were your big takeaways from the reveal?
Well, I'll start it off with just a general feeling of the reveal. It really, really. Now, no hate to those who really enjoyed this last year's of content, but I wasn't a big fan, and this really reinvigorated my my want to play Elder Scrolls. Not that I'm was ever going to quit, but I just was logging in wasn't as enjoyable as it was previously, and now I'm really, really excited to log in because, man, what's striking to me is it's uncharted territory lore wise. So there's nothing they can't do with it, so I'm so excited for it. I think the biggest takeaways that I had were just the general lore setting. I was kind of bummed it wasn't a Redguard expansion, but I'm definitely not disappointed about this Breton expansion. And one of my favorite things that came from it, and we'll obviously talk about it going forward, but I love collector card games, digital collector card games, and I am so excited for Tributes of Tamriel. I'm ridiculously excited for it.
It's such an incredible departure from any content they've given us to date. So the setting's one thing, but the actual game system which they announced yesterday is wow. I think I tweeted it. It wasn't high on my wish list. It wasn't even on my wish list. I had no idea that they were planning something like this, and I think quite a few content creators have said the same thing, that this was just so out of left field. It's. I will say
though, a lot of the people from Legends, because I'm like an observer in a lot of those circles. A lot of people from that community were saying we would love to have Legends in Elder Scrolls Online. A lot of the fans that were from both sides, because Legends did a an expansion when it was still going. That was Elder Scrolls 3 Banners War expansion. So people were talking about people were talking about getting something like that in Elder Scrolls, and I mean, this is what it is. It's so exciting. I think for that small, I think for the general population, it's going to be exciting. But I think it was a really cool thing for that small corner of fans that were hardcore fans of Legends and and ESO at the same time.
I mean, it's an interesting twist as well, though, because ESO, Elder Scrolls Legends, I had it on I still have it on my computer. I used to enjoy playing it, not PvP, but against the computer. I prefer playing games against AI. But Elder Scrolls Legends, I loved it for many reasons. The card art primarily is one of the major reasons I like playing Elder Scrolls Legends, is because the artwork is absolutely unbelievable. So much of our impression of Tamriel, the races, the monsters, these days comes from the depictions that we had in Elder Scrolls Legends. It's just absolutely beautiful, fantastic work. But the game itself was combat orientated. As many collectible card games are, it's focused on micro battles within a larger scale point system to win a round and things like that. The key thing that I took away from the reveal was that, or one of the many things about the collectible card game that I took away, was that it's not a combat oriented collectible card game. It is a threshold of advancement, a resource management, and score-based, getting to a stage of development collectible card game. It's not going to be, here's my card against your card. It's, I'm using my cards in this way to advance the game system, my little position in the game system to a certain level before you're able to get to that level.
Yeah.
I'm not a big collectible card game player, and I'm not sure how many of the big collectible card games out there had that model or that particular slant to them. But the ones I was familiar with was more, this is my card, I'm putting it down, I've put these cards down pre-loot, which means I've had these buffs, which means that I'll be able to take X number of points from your card and take it off the board, which is that was Elder Scrolls Legends, and I'm pretty sure that's what many other collectible card games have been. But this is going to be very, very different. But you're a lot more into collectible card games than me. What was your take on that particular aspect of the reveal?
Yeah, like you said, I mean, I played Hearthstone, Legends, and I played Gwent. Those were the three big ones that I played. And Hearthstone and Legends were very similar in a lot of aspects. I mean, they were almost the exact same card game at a fundamental level. But they were, like you said, they were combat oriented, where you are essentially trying to damage the person's health the whole time and get it to zero. Gwent was like that too. Gwent is of the three, that's the one I have the least time with. But there was also resource managing. You weren't necessarily you were trying to get the most points each round. You were trying to kill one another. So I think it was closer to what you were saying about the resource management. And because you really had to mitigate a lot of things. You had to have the defenders and the attackers, obviously, but it was just whoever got the most points each round out of 3 rounds, or I think it was something like that.
So then the model they picked is almost, it relates to the gameplay of the exemplar you just talked about. Gwent is a card game within a game. This is also a card game within a game. And Tony in chat has just mentioned that intrigues them too. And last time he said he saw it was Witcher 3. Elm Knight has raised the interesting point that she can't wait to have her characters go into an inn, grab a drink, play a card game against an NPC or other players to increase the immersive side of playing Elder Scrolls Online. And I think that's very much that's what they're hoping for, and I'm looking forward to that too. And we just have a new member in chat. Chucky is one of my good friends from my PvP guild. He's just come in to say hi. We're recording a podcast episode, Chucky. I hope you had a good time in Cyrodiil. I know he was in there with my guild today.
I'm pretty sure he killed me when I stream sniped you.
Quite possibly.
Maybe.
but since that time when he was acting as my. Oh, wow. Oh. Sorry, we just have to pause the podcast for a second. Chucky's just come in and just dropped a gift sub bomb on us, and has just gifted 5 subs to the channel. You are an absolute star, Chucky. So we'll just have a brief moment of pause while I just deal with.
I'm gonna spam chat with your new emotes that you got.
I just did myself as well.
Oh, you did? Okay, awesome.
So, thank you, Chucky, for gifting the subs to Verified, Protocalypse, Flames of Hannah, Galactic Emperor Batman, and Gwynlix. Fantastic. And indeed, love you too, brother. You share a strong bond with those you adventure with in Cyrodiil. What happens in Cyrodiil stays in Cyrodiil, as they say. But Chucky was also Emperor in this most recent campaign, so we helped each other ascend to that particular title.
Great.
So yeah, I mean, pivoting back to the card game. I think, as Elm Knight said, it's going to add that extra dimension to when you log on. You know, what could we do? What are you going to do in a given day? Will I just do my dailies? Will I do a dungeon? Now will I just have a few rounds of tributes of Trials of Tribute? What's the name again?
Tributes of Tamriel?
Tributes of Tamriel. It's going to be add that extra thing. Oh, that extra thing. Well, I don't want to do a dungeon today. I don't want to have to go through my writs and all my characters. But yes, I do want to have a card game. So I think it's a very, very clever thing that they did. And it's And I guess it ties back to, I guess, what a lot of the things that Rich Lambert was saying in the lead up to the reveal, when he was still streaming, talking about how things like new classes don't generate new players. Retention is not something we've been able to address with many of the additions that we've had in the past. This card game, I mean, it's certainly not going to be everyone's cup of tea. There will be many other many players for whom they have absolutely no interest in it. But I guess that's the key thing. It's about to bring new players in, or to retain players who may be slightly jaded about the existing content. They needed to do something very, very different. And I didn't predict it was going to be this different.
No.
But it's a move right out of the top drawer, as they say. It's really different, and I think a lot of people will find themselves being pulled into it in a way that they wouldn't have been. I mean, they sold Antiquities as, you know, a relaxing, peaceful kind of other thing you could do in the game, but really Antiquities just became what many people expected it to be, was just a grind. Whether it's doing the actual tasks or harvesting leads. Oh my lord.
Yeah. I'm trying to do that because I'm trying to get my Master Historian title in it. I'm like, It's ridiculous.
Yes. Antiquities, for some people, was that little bit of, you know, extra thing they could do. But for most people, it became a must-do activity and something that you did and then just put aside. A card game like this is going to be a substantial addition to the suite of activities you have when you log on. And it's not going to be something that I don't think people are going to tire of it quickly. I would imagine that they're going to put a lot of focus on it. The collectible nature of it, the artwork is always going to be key. And they did show some snippets of card shape and a little bit of the art style for some cards on the reveal. And I'd imagine collectible cards, finding the cards in the wild, doing other activities in game that will give you access to. Oh, I just logged out. A second.
It poofed. It's okay.
Just as Stella just gave some bits to the channel. Thank you, Stella.
Thank you. Well, one thing that I'm really interested, so in the as in any online community, there's like websites that come up with like strategies and like with meta decks and stuff like that. I mean, that happens with any game. And I'm really interested because Rich said that you don't have to worry about not having the best cards because all of your cards go into one pool. So the opponent and your own cards go into one pool, and you all draw from that same pool of cards, which would be really interesting to see if like you can sabotage one another by putting maybe like sort of sabotage cards in there, but yet you could also get them. So you have to be very. It sounds like it's just going to be crazy for strategy, and yeah, this, like you said, this is going to keep people logging into the game because it's going to be multifaceted, and there's going to be. I'm just already anticipating like all the websites that already do ESO stuff. They're going to have like a whole tribute to Tamriel part where they're like, the best deck is, this deck or whatever. Yeah, it's going to be good.
I mean, I also like the fact that it's going to be able to, that there's going to be rewards, there's going to be collectibles, there's going to be furniture, there's going to be ability to win in-game currency, especially transmute stones. The more ways you can earn transmute stones, the better, because transmute stones, in my opinion, is probably the most important currency in the game if you want to experience the whole gamut the game has to offer, and that's primarily. My lord, I just.
What happened? Did you log again?
Stella just gave me another cheer. I just logged into my version of your house. That's really weird.
Oh, weird.
I'll just travel to you back to you just now.
Okay. No problem. How funny. Or I all of a sudden just moved house right before you log back in.
See, what was I saying? Collectibles, rewards, yes. Transmute stone. If you really want to experience the full breadth of the game, you need to basically have a lot of different builds, whether that's to be a healer or a tank or a DPS or a magicka character, a stamina character. One of the big limiting factors is your ability to create the gear sets, and transmute stones are an essential part of that. Now that we have the sticker book, any part of the game that gives you more ability to earn transmute stones will give you more ability to do other content in the game. So it's a really nice thing they've added in there as one of the rewards for this. But equally, I find myself these days quite obsessed with unlocking motifs, and because I'm a fashion scrolls addict, a complete fashion scrolls addict. So anything that allows me to get like cosmetics, I'm very much in favour of. It doesn't matter what I have to do, whether I have to run a dungeon like 20 times to get a motif page drop, or whether I have to play a card game for a couple of days. I'm up for it. It's one of my main motivations is character customization. That's one of the, achievements. Yeah. I'm not a big achievement hunter, and we'll talk about achievements later, I'm sure. But getting the look of my characters right is one of the biggest reasons I play the game. So anything that gives me a mechanism to be able to come up with a unique look, even if, as I said, even if it requires me to play a full campaign, a full story quest of card games with NPCs, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Interestingly, as El Knight mentioned earlier in chat, you can play this game against NPCs, and there will be a story progression for the card game that is going to be done by playing, I'm assuming, a trail of NPCs around different locations that will give some narrative to the card game, which I'll religiously follow and see what we can find out.
I wonder if you're going to be able to play your followers.
Well, that'd be interesting. That would be interesting. Yes. Shall we seg over to the issue of new followers in the 2022 reveal? So, as you can see on screen, in Liv's house, she has pathed around her residence. She has the most exquisite and excellent Miri. I don't know why my girlfriend's in your house. Let me just say that right now.
You mean my wife?
Oh no. Mary's standing there going, awkward. We were given the reveal of the two new followers we will get, the two new companions for this year's content, and I can only, although you couldn't hear it in chat on the reveal, but you can just tell there was a massive cheer from all the murderers out there when they revealed that we were getting a Khajiit companion that is morally flexible. So it's what was asked for by large segments of our Dark Brotherhood and Thieves Guild heavily connected community, that they wanted a companion that wasn't going to get shitty with them when they did their daily murdering and harassing.
Way to well, everybody. Yep.
Exactly. So they basically just they listened and they gave us a murder companion.
Thank goodness, and they gave a Khajiit companion. I think that's cool.
Yeah.
Murder Khajiit, murder cat.
Exactly. And interestingly, they chose Sork by the looks of things for the class. It wasn't officially revealed, but it was a magic user. They were holding a lightning staff in the stock image that they showed, and that's the biggest clue ever that it's going to be a Sork.
Lightning.
Yeah, I think that's a given. We've got a dark Dragon Knight with Bastion. We have a Nightblade with Miri. We have a Sork with Ember, and the other companion, which is and the one that I'm most excited about, and Miri might get very upset with me about this, is Isabel the Breton, the Breton Knight. I thought that was an interesting addition. I thought she was described as having, I guess she's lawful good, probably, is her alignment, based on what Rich Lambert was saying and what they said in the after show about her character. But also probably leaning towards potentially neutral good, because of her lack of rigid nature and adherence to, I guess, doctrine or laws. So she might be leaning towards neutral good. Bastion, you would say, is lawful good.
Definitely.
Isabel might be neutral good, and I think a lot of people were also looking for that as well. Somebody who is not going to have commentary that makes you feel bad when you do your average stuff. I mean,
Uh-huh.
they both make you feel bad when
Yeah.
you kill, but some of them make you feel bad when you just do, your casual everyday stuff. Like making cheese pasties, or in
Yeah.
Bastian's case.
Yeah.
And as long as Isabel's flexible when it comes to dairy products, and I think a lot of people will be happier.
It doesn't get mad when you go on a boat or whatever. I think that's when Marius gets upset when you travel via boat.
I didn't know that. Chat is just, we've just had another announcement. Chat that Chucky's just gifted another 5 subs to the community.
Oh my gosh.
He is well ahead of anyone else in the gifted subcategory. Just gifted another 5 subs to Devil Speed, LXG Host, Rainmaker, Mish, and HB. Some stalwarts in the community there. Thank you, Chucky. That's really nice of you. Very, very, very much appreciated.
Definitely.
So, I'm assuming that with the companions, we will have... Shut up and take my money, you peanut. Okay, yes, Chucky, I will just take your money. And Real Tony saying Chucky's a madman. Yes, he is certifiable in a good way. Now, interestingly, we will probably, as with Miri and with Bastion, we will most likely have loyalty-based quest lines for them. I would be very surprised if we don't. It's part of the same system, so there'll be the same affinity thing, there'll be the same likes and dislikes, and there will be the progression of actual unlocked story quests associated with reaching certain levels of affinity with them. So that in itself is going to be a great way to find out more about the characters. I did find that aspect of the companion system was a little bit grindy with Bastion and Miri. To the extent I never actually took Bastion to the end of his affinity line, because it was just, for a good period of 3-4 weeks, I was logging every day, doing my specific daily quest that Miri liked, doing as many of the activities that Miri liked that I could within a certain period of time, to push that affinity up to the maximum so that I could unlock the quest lines that she had as her character basis. And obviously, so she'd say nice things to me when I spoke to her, because she's my closest friend now. She's not your closest friend.
Yeah.
She's my closest friend.
Oh, wow. We're gonna have to fight. I mean, not really, because you kill me in PvP.
Oh dear. So I'm interested to see what kind of storylines we get from them and how they connect to the year's content. Because I didn't. Miri's personal quest was rooted in her past, in her connections back to Vardenfell and her parents. I didn't do Bastion's quest, so I can't comment on that. But I'd like to see that the quests associated with the new companions are linked to the story of the year. I'd like to see that aspect too. I'd like to, especially with Isabel being a Breton knight.
Yes. I was gonna say, yeah. Well, I was gonna say just that the expansion or the chapter in general is, I mean, we can probably talk a little bit more about it in a second, but just rooted in medieval fare, if you will.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that her being a knight is gonna factor into that somehow.
Mm-hmm. And my guess is that she's a Templar. They will not give us the same class that they've given us for. I'm pretty sure they'll give us a Templar. To be neutral good as a necromancer doesn't seem to fit. And a warden's an outside bet, but I'm guessing she's going to be a Templar. That internal light, that guiding light that she has to do good, just fits Templar down to a T, I think.
And Templars can be pretty neutral good. I would say in playing Skyrim, the Vigilance of Stendar are pretty neutral because they're pretty good. I mean, they're not neutral because I hate vampires. But I mean, they're pretty willing to do whatever it takes to get rid of vampires. I mean, they're roaming Skyrim, ready to just murder vampires. So, I think that would be a good case for her being neutral good, for sure.
So all this talk of the new expansions getting Elm Knight wishing it was June already. I'm with you, Elm Knight. I'm with you. I'd love to see new content. I mean, we'll get to see a fair amount on Monday when the PTS goes live. We'll see the new dungeons. We'll see a lot of game systems that we're going to experience later this year. And the dungeons themselves will give us a bit of a hint on the year's content. One of the other things that was in the post show was Finn taking us through the 2 dungeons. We'll probably get onto that a little bit later in the podcast. Tony's made a Breton as will many people be doing. Actually, many people will be making Breton
Yes.
characters this year.
Yes,
Yes,
I
indeed.
assume so.
So let's take a step back from some of the things we've talked about the card game and followers. These are fairly systemic, like game system type issues. And yes, we'll talk about account-wide achievements in a second, Chucky.
Yeah.
Give us your thoughts on the setting. Give us your thoughts on the way that how excited you are, how well you think that the developers are going to give us this medieval questing knight experience that they've basically tried to present on the reveal.
I'm over. I cannot even describe how excited I am. I can't put it into words. I mean, I'm sure it's hard to speculate what it's exactly going to be like, but man, that trailer or that the trailer, it was so freaking cool. Like it was just perfect in every way, and I'm so excited just for castmate. I have so much confidence in their ability to make castles because in Blackwood, Gideon was gorgeous, and Solitude has been gorgeous. So I'm so confident in their way to execute like this medieval setting. And just I mean, that trailer was amazing. They should really make like shorts, like actual short films, because
Oh yes,
man,
so many people would love
they
that.
do.
I
They kill
could
it.
see lots more of the Elven Hero. I'm up for that. Yes, as much content as they can give us of the Elven Hero, whose outfit in the cinematics is actually skimpier than it actually is in game. And there's an interesting observation that someone like me. I mean, it was just a shock to me. I wouldn't normally notice things like that.
Yeah, you're right. It is. And they always show her at angles. So like I was rewatching it today, and they showed her doing her green magic, and it was like right a shot right at her crotch, and I'm like, okay, you guys know what you're doing. Like, come on.
Yes.
Like I paused it. I'm like, you can see her legs, like right at the hem of her skirt, and then the top of her boots.
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
just little things you notice.
People are shipping the Breton hero and the Elven hero in the.
Oh yeah, I saw that
on Twitter.
I saw that too. There's a strong ship there, and the poor Nord hero is missing out. You know.
I know. Okay. So this is that really long. I think it was like a 20-minute trailer when ESO first came out. The Nord got the worst of it because he got like tortured by Manny Marco in in like this like magic torture room. Well, the Breton and Nord, or the Breton and Elven here, they pretty much get it pretty bad. But actually, the Elven hero got it pretty bad because she got taken over by the EP side and was like used as this huge like ballista, this like living ballista. But anyways, that's my rant. The Nord hero always get the short end of the stick, I feel like. And I like the Elven hero the best too.
Yeah.
I like the Breton hero too, but he's the necromancer, so I'm not really a big fan.
But it's good now that we actually have a necromancer class in the game. I mean,
Yeah.
admittedly, we don't have a spell sword, and I could talk for years on the fact that we don't have a spell sword class. The Elven hero is a spell sword. It's plainly obvious. One hand with a one-handed sword, and the other hand you casting magic. It's a class I would love to see in the game, but we don't have. It's I mean, maybe there's as has been mentioned in chat just now, everyone seems really positive about what they're doing with the game, and Chuki made a very good point in chat that they're working on the game issues, the underlying code issues that handle the most taxing parts of the game, whether it's Cyrodiil or whether it's Trials. They're reworking the code. This is one of the big announcements that was made over the Christmas period, which we didn't cover in any other aspect of the podcast so far. They're rewriting the base game code to allow the game to handle more complex situations and calculations to allow us to better experience the game. That's going to be happening throughout the year. And he makes the very good point that once they get that down, the creative power that the game has is enough to keep us going for another 10 years at least.
I agree. 100% agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They I think that's another reason why. Well, I forgot who said it, but they did say in the announcement that this year's a light year as far as content goes, and I'm like, oh my god, definitely not a light year. I mean, I don't think so. I think it's a pretty hefty year, but I think maybe they're saying that because they're working on things in the background this
Mm-hmm.
year. I wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
be surprised.
Yeah. I mean, there are some. I mean, getting back to the setting, again, this is linked up to the lightness or otherwise of the year. I love the fact that it's new, unexplored territory. I love the fact that High Isle is mentioned in one lore book, and the island's chain, the Sisters, is viewed only on one map in one specific part of an earlier game. Nothing else exists in the canon about this environment, and I don't think the developers have had that freedom before.
I agree.
And to see what they can do with it is going to be fantastic. At the same time, though, the flip side is, though, that I'm concerned about the explorable area in the expansion. We've had contraction of explorable area repeatedly the past few years. I mean, let's
Somerset's a big one.
Somerset was. I mean, you can ride from one end to one end of Somerset to the other pretty quickly. And I was a little bit disappointed in that. Varenfell to me seemed like a much wider expanse. The years that we've had with Greymoor was, I mean, West Skyrim was okay, but it's a little bit sparse. It's a big area, but it's a bit sparse.
Yeah.
Northern Elsewhere, if it wasn't so difficult to navigate around, I'd be happier.
True.
But this year, with 2 islands, and that's what we're getting with the chapter, we're getting High Isle and Amenas. 2 islands is the explorable area that we will have for the main chapter content. And you've seen the map. These can't be large segments of area. No. I am concerned that we're not going to be getting a huge area to explore. And that's what I like to get with the chapter. This is why I put down my $80 yesterday, my 80 Australian dollars on my pre-order. I want to be able to. I'd like there to be a big enough area for me to explore. In any open world game, the size of the map is one of the biggest things that determines the extent of the playability, the longevity of the time you can spend there. If we're just going to have 2 small segments, I'm worried they're even going to be smaller. Each of those 2 segments is going to be smaller than, say, Southern Elsewhere or Markarth. Or even the Deadlands. You know, these are tiny, tiny areas that you can only fit in so many things to do. So I do have a slight concern about. I'm really excited that it's brand new, but I am concerned that the setting is going to confine us in a way. It's going to be like going from an open world to a classic linear pathway first-person shooter type contraction in terms of what you can do in the zones. So I've yet to see anything that's allayed that concern for me yet.
But I want to bring up one thing though that maybe that allay it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
When they showed off the house and that huge underwater area that house had, I think if I was gonna put my bet somewhere, and not saying that I'm going to, but I would say that there's probably going to be an underwater area because the Sisters are above Thras, which is the slowed homeland. So we know there's stuff down there.
So we could have a Black Reach type thing, but with extra wetness.
Yeah. Yes.
Moist Black Reach.
Could be. That's just speculative because I agree. The Sisters are small islands. They're like the same size as like a Stros Mackay, or not really. They're a little bit bigger than what Stros Mackay is on the map at least. So unless they inflate it a little bit for their purposes, which I would be wholly in favor for, then I also have that concern.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Although I do like the escape from New York aspect of Amenas. This is a prison island. There are no rules. You just go there, and whoever survives, survives. I'm gonna make a Snake Plissken character. Now, of course, there are going to be many people listening who are not old enough to know who Snake Plissken was.
I know that, but I guess I'm kind of old. I guess.
Escape from Amenas. Yes.
Escape from Amenas.
So that's going to
It's
be fun.
I like that concept too. It's a real. I was watching the Australian stream yesterday,
Yeah.
and they were saying like it sounds a lot like Australia. All these Aussies were saying like it sounds like a lot like Australia. With it's like a prisoner island.
Yes, Prison
There's
Island
prisoners.
is with lots
Yeah.
of creatures that'll kill you. Yep, that's Australia. Yep.
Mm. Yeah.
Uh, and Chucky's just volunteered in chat that he's older than me by 5 months. Yes.
Oh wow.
And El
So I'm
Timtor
still
remembers the
older
movie as well. King of New York, A number one. Yep, some excellent lines. Yes. They made Australia, Chucky, that's right. Amanas is going to be Australia. Convict island, full of dangerous wildlife. That's it.
So they started with an A. It's, Australia.
Yeah. Oh, so just quickly, when did you have that Breton knight in your house?
Oh, I just got it.
That's an antiquities, isn't it? Is that some antiquities version?
Yep, it's
Okay.
the Noble Knight's Rest. Yeah, it's an antiquities version. It's pretty cool. I really like it.
Oh, by the way,
I mean, I didn't. Yeah.
you can tell that
Go
Mary
ahead.
is my girlfriend because we're wearing matching outfits.
If I could change her outfit for her house guest when I would.
Anyway, so those who watch the VOD can see me strolling up to Livia's got a new house decoration in her house, which is very episode appropriate because it's a Breton knight. It's I guess a grave covering for a Breton knight. So we'll be seeing lots and lots of armor of this style in the new the new expansion. We'll be seeing, as always we get so many different motifs. I'm obsessed with motifs. I still need to harvest some from the current. I need to get Silver Rose. I'm dying to get the Silver Rose motif from this current last iteration of expansions. I need to invent dungeons for that. But we'll be seeing lots and lots of Breton style armor in the upcoming expansion. I cannot wait, especially for the weapons. We have a dearth, a paucity, an absence of sufficiently simply designed swords in the game.
And bows.
And bows, and I'm hopeful that we'll get some with the motifs that we get for the new chapter. And Chuki's saying your house is nuts, and she has done an incredible job. So those of you who are listening to the podcast, you'll be able to see Liv's house if you go in for the YouTube VOD, which will be getting uploaded at some point, so you can check out Livia's house, which is also very impressive.
I think it's a little difficult to tell which alliance I stand the most. You know, it's a little difficult. So if you guys are having trouble, it's Ebonheart Pact.
I didn't pick that up.
On my Reddit.
I didn't pick that up.
Yeah, I know. It's difficult.
So let's take a step back from the environment. And you take care, Chucky. You go and listen to some music.
Bye.
I'm glad you're
Thanks
enjoying
for
the
hanging
podcast. So let's take a step back from the setting and let's think about the story that we're about to be told. We've been given some information. Now, one of the things that people have noticed, and of course when we had the teaser trailer reveal, we had the 3 faction ships making their way across stormy seas and encountering significant trouble before they landed, as we now know, on the High Isle. So the presence of the 3 factions was front and centre of the teaser. Now, even if we hadn't seen the cinematic with the 3 factional heroes, the production of the actual reveal video, where the segues between each of the presenters was the fluttering banners of the 3 factions, blue, red and yellow. It was everywhere throughout the reveal. Not just in the cinematic, not just in what they were talking about, in the graphical design of the entire production. The 3 factions was everywhere. Now I'm interested to see how they're going to work it. It was stated that the motivation for going to the High Isle is the potential for ending the 3 faction war, the 3 banners war.
Right. Right.
Now, that's going to get us there. That's going to set the scene. I'm really quite interested to find out how deep that will go throughout the year's content. Are they just going to use that as just a hook for the start of it, or is it going to actually find its way through the actual storyline? Because the rest of the information we got about the storyline, the Ascendant Order, the Ascendant Lord, and the Ascendant Magus, Baron Vicaro, the leader of the Society of the Steadfast, who is having these people come to the island as the broker of the peace.
Right.
Is it just going to be we get there and the factional envoys are going to be killed, as might have been implied by the fact that the Ascendant Lord threw down the 3 medallions onto the table in front of the Breton, Elven, and Nord hero, almost as if to say, your factional representatives came, and I've killed them. I because of the nature of the game and because of the fact, as Rich said at the start, the 3 Banners War is still raging in Cyrodiil. Are we going to get to the end of the year and it's going to have changed that? Will we have fundamentally altered the game through the course of the year's story content? That's my big question.
That's interesting thought. Yeah. Yeah, that's a very interesting thought. I see what you were saying in the trailer. That makes a lot of sense. But it was almost seemed to me like the Ascendant Lord was recruiting us in a way, because all those dead bodies in that council room, I took them as like just leisuring nobles that were maybe doing deals there.
Yeah.
And so maybe he's was recruiting, us, the heroes, the 3 heroes, essentially us, for whatever thing is gonna go down. So I'm seeing this is what I'm seeing. And this kind of ties in with maybe the lack of area. I'm seeing a lot of going and doing things in zones. I'm seeing a lot of quests happening in zones that we've already been to.
Okay.
Because there was words that there was what's political intrigue and kind of like secret society stuff. So I'm thinking it has kind of polluted its way into the underbellies of all 3 factions in some way.
Now that would be something else. If we don't have lots of area to explore in the islands, but we have new parts of the existing zones to explore, whether it's a delve, whether it's a housing interior, whether it's NPCs. I mean, they did a little bit of that in Southern Elsewhere with the daily Drakengard quest that took you to find Drakengard relics in various delves around the various different zones. So they do have some precedent for sending us back to different areas of Tamriel to do specific quests for an expansion that didn't actually use the new expansion area, but was part of the mechanism of the, I guess, the core faction quest of the Southern Elsewhere quest line. It's if they were to expand upon that concept, and it would lean on the fact that dungeons often appear in zones that we've explored to death, but now they're just appearing. Like the new dungeon that we're going to do in this year's expansion is going to be the top of Somerset. We haven't explored that before, but they're using an existing zone, creating a new part of an existing zone that we have to explore. In this case, the dungeon DLC will have in March. That's going to be the form of a dungeon. But if they could give us new delves, if they could give us new buildings, new NPCs within existing zones, that would be I think you may well be onto something there. They could use that to tie up with the 3 factions to make it more engaged with the rest of Tamriel as a narrative. I could live with that. I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that. But I was just thinking about how that shows where our minds are. You're thinking PvP. I'm thinking PvE
not necessarily PvE. Not necessarily PvP. In fact, I don't think they could. I don't think they could connect up. You're right. Maybe they could have a town that we haven't really spent much time in the base game Cyrodiil zone, like Cheydinhal or Chorrol, where there was a new hub for daily quests. Maybe that could be something, but I'm more thinking about they could just have a new delve in Shadowfen, a new delve in Stonefalls, or any other base game zones, which you don't have to retcon that. You just didn't notice it when you're riding past the first time, Right. It doesn't require them to do a lore rewrite. All they just need to is for a good example would be one of the family tombs in Vardenfell, which you can't access just now, but the door's there.
Yeah, Sure.
All they need to do is just have it openable to a different instance, and there you go. You've opened up an existing part of the game, one of the faction zones, one of the faction areas, and you've linked it to the main quest of the new zone. Yeah, as I say, if it's cleverly done, I'm all for that. To link up, I mean, it's one of the things. This is one of the things about the expansion years. There, apart from the prologues are the best way that this has been done, and that we can say this, show this has been done. The prologues are an example of that.
Yeah.
The main quest prologues from each year, they take us
All the prologues are so great.
into zones and areas of the existing world that we already know, that we've already unlocked and paid for. And they connect that up with the start of the new content. Maybe if they intersperse throughout the main narrative similar things, that would really make Tamriel feel like a connected place.
Yeah, how stories, not necessarily directly influence one another, but kind of in a way it does. They did that with Elsewhere in a big way, where they made the dragons flying over each capital city, which was freaking cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's kind of like a shared story thing.
Yeah. What do you mean dragons in my homeland? They're right there. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I'm very interested about it. It being a leisure island for nobility sounds awesome. And there's like another theory of mine was I had just gone to medieval times for my birthday, and I was thinking that they would have these sort of games, or these like tournaments, the chivalric tournaments between different knightly orders, because there's like 8 or 9 of them around in Hierarch alone. But I don't think that's going to happen, because I think it's going to be a widely focused story rather than it being like, it's going to be a set where the Bretons are, but I think the story is going to be about Tamriel in general.
Mm-hmm. I got really excited. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
No, you go ahead.
Nope. I was extending a point that I finished. You're
okay.
Good.
Okay. I mean, you mentioned that I got, when they said it was like a playground for the rich, I got Westworld vibes there. This is medieval world.
Yeah.
But
right.
They showed a few things they showed about that. They showed the castles, the architecture, all the rest of it. But then they showed fashion. We didn't see any new costumes. They're not going to reveal those, I don't think. But we did see jousting arena.
Yeah.
Now,
that was cool.
I know they're not going to give us new PvP, which is a shame, but they've just given us... But one thing they could do after this year, once they fix the code, can you imagine if we had a jousting contest in
oh my
PvP?
God. That would be so cool. Yeah.
To actually have, like, medieval-style knightly games. Like one-on-one combat. We already have the duels, but make it a little more location-specific.
Archery contest.
We just had a farewell from Elm Knight. Thank you for being in the chat, Elm Knight. It was really nice to chat to you. You take care.
Have a good night.
But yeah, if they could link in, and this isn't a new thing. Many of the PvPers have said things like this, to have PvP activities embedded within the new content of each year. For them to look for ways where they could have a new PvP mode, a new PvP encounter, a new PvP map, or anything that's linked to the current year's content.
Yeah.
And as I say, I don't know how easy it would be. Given that our combat system is disconnected when we're mounted. That'd have to be fixed. That'd have to be addressed. But can you imagine it? Having a jousting competition, or even just having the start of a period where you have to unseat your opponent, and once you've unseated your opponent, you get a combat buff going into the next phase of the battle. They could do things like that. So it may be, not like it's fake horse combat, but you could have a two stages to the duel, so just like it would be in a medieval joust. The one that gets knocked off by their opponent normally has had their armor damaged or they're hurt. They've been basically rocketed off their horse by having a lance stuck up their ass. They're disadvantaged in the subsequent hand-to-hand combat. I mean, if you had a dueling system that had 2 stages like that you're winning in the first stage meant you had a bit easier chance in the next stage, that would be really, really cool from a PvP perspective. And
it could even be a timed thing. Like, you don't have to, you have the horses riding towards one another, but you have to, like, click the button. You don't control the horse. You just control when you, like, jab or something like
strike,
that. Yeah.
What you strike with. Yeah.
Where you strike,
Yeah, I think that'd be fantastic. And lots of games
Yeah,
have mounted combat. The Bannerlord games have got mounted combat with lances and all sorts of stuff. So there are games that do it. I see. This is one of the things that I'm a huge PvPer. I'd say I spend more than 60% of my game time PvPing relative to PvE. So it's definitely the dominant bulk of the time I play in the game. The modes that we have are good. I like dueling, I like Battlegrounds, I like Cyrodiil, I like Imperial City, I like it all. But one of the things I'd like to see is for the PvP to be connected to the narratives that we have. And I mean, your sweaty PvPers won't really be too interested in that. But there are actually lots of PvPers who would be interested in that intimate connection between new content and activity in PvP game mode.
Yeah, I feel like there's PvPers who play ESO because they love Elder Scrolls or they love story in general, and they just prefer the PvP stuff. Yeah, I'm excited. And just the zone. I am a little leery because I was not a huge fan of Somerset. I loved Somerset's story. The writing was fantastic and everything was so great about it. But I wasn't a big fan of how, like, one note the zone was. So obviously it's going to be 2 small islands, so I'm expecting 1, like, biome. But I just hope we get, like, more variety than what we see in, like, already in other jungle areas or, like, coastal areas.
I was slightly heartened by the coverage of the 2 dungeons that we got, which was Coral Eyrie, which is that one note style Somerset thing. But the other one, which was, let me just get the name of it, Shipwright's Regret.
Shipwright's Regret, okay.
It was a scary, haunted shipyard. It was...
Yes.
The environment was very, very different. It was... The whole colour scheme was different. It was more like a traditional Breton type buildings around, but it was still connected to the coast. It was still connected to, like, caverns and stuff like that. But it was a very, very different feel to Coral Eyrie, which was, I mean, Coral Eyrie is the one that's right at the top of Somerset, and that's where the Ascendant Order has a base, and that's where you rescue Jakarn.
Jakarn, yeah.
Shipwright's Regret is where you interact with Zaji, the ship captain that you interact with in Southern Elsewhere.
I like Zaji.
Zaji's great. And Casca's there as well. Casca? The big,
their friend. The big... Yeah.
Yeah, she was a great character. So it's the fact that they lent into that Somerset vibe for the first dungeon, but then they extended out in Shipwright's Regret to this new kind of environment, this new style of dungeon. And I also love the fact that we're going to encounter the Marmor again, and the Marmor are going to feature in the new trial we're getting, which is, if I remember correctly, the name. It's the faction of the Marmor is called the Dreadsail, and Dreadsail Reef is the new trial we'll be getting in this year's content. So the Marmor are a great villainous faction, fantastic. I mean, it's like they took all the worst parts of the Altmer, which many people would say is all of them, all the parts. But they took they made the Altmer worse. They made the Altmer worse. How could you do that? But they did. With the Marmor, they really made them even worse.
Some would say the Thalmor were the worst of the Altmer, but the Malmor are pretty bad. They're pretty cutthroat. They're like the grimy, piratey bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tony's saying in chat he'd really like to see more about the Marmor. I actually don't know much about them. They became very beloved of the ESO community when we first experienced them in the opening. zone for the Almeri Dominion.
Yeah.
And ever since that first experience, they've been so many people in the community make characters as full Marmor.
Yeah.
And we have, just this very day, just on Twitter, just not only like a few hours ago, in response to Finn saying the name of the Marmor slightly differently, we got
that's right, you did that on stream.
Did give an official Lore Master announcement that it's Mao-mer, as in Chairman Mao from...
okay.
So it's not Meow-mer, it's Mao-mer.
Or Mermer, like Mare, like M-A-R-E.
Exactly, it's not Mermer, it's Mauer-mer.
Mauer-mer, yeah.
So that we do now have that now. That's Lore Master approved pronunciation of the race, or faction.
That's how I've always pronounced it too. It just looks that way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I think you say something and then it bounces around your head a little bit and then it just becomes how you say it.
Ham Hacks in chat just come up with a great spelling to help people do it. That's excellent. I like that, Ham Hacks.
Yeah, I remember it. Yeah.
That's. I mean, it's not an easy word to say. Certainly for sure.
No. That extra R in there kind of is like, why?
Yeah. So
But there were people that were saying that they're like upset, or not upset. They're just like over Malmer being the villains, which I agree. Like no races should be the villain, or they should always be neutral. But yeah, I'm ready for a Malmer chapter or a Malmer exploration somewhere along, not necessarily in ESO, but somewhere.
The geographic location means that they have to be connected to what's happening.
Yeah.
You're right. The islands, the sisters, are between essentially the edge of High Rock and the top of Somerset. Mm-hmm. And you would imagine
the
Marmor will patrol those waters with diligence. And thank you for the follow, Hamax. It's really nice of you to follow. It's a good sign. Hopefully, it's a sign that you're enjoying the podcast. So it's what they showed on the post show of those two environments did make me think that we're going to get a little bit of variation in areas. They showed, as you mentioned, they showed the underground house, which I'm sure many housing mancers will be desperate to get as soon as it comes up. Now, I'm going to mention one thing that I don't know if anyone's picked up on this. One of the big things that was on the reveal was the new merchandise that we're going to be able to buy. And I'm mentioning this not just because there's a little tweak, a little thing I want to mention. It's because obviously the merchandise store revealed the name of the expansion before the official reveal, because they posted the merchandise before the actual official stream. I don't know if you've noticed it, we've got a new T-shirt this year. A new T-shirt with Ouroboros on it. And on the back it says Legacy of the Bretons at the top on the shoulder. But if you look closely at the Ouroboros, just behind, if I just point to my seat, just behind the heads of the three creatures, there's an alien stone.
Yes, I know what you're going to say.
There's an alien stone embedded in each one. And that's a completely new feature of the Ouroboros that I've not seen anywhere before. And there has to be some significance. There has to be some reason for them to change the form of the Ouroboros for this year's chapter. It may be.
What it looked like to me? It looked like the Eye of Magnus.
Oh.
But I don't know if it's here in this time frame, but it looked like the Eye of Magnus to me, which is the big orb in Skyrim underneath. Yikes, I forgot. Well, it's where the Iliad were, or not the Iliad. It's where the Falmer were. First, the Falmer War started.
Okay. So we have a couple of options for the blue stone, and the origins of it and the lore connections to it. But yeah, there must be some.
Arthur, thank you.
Thanks, El Tintor, for giving us the name of that place. But there has to be some reason that they did that. There has to be some connection. And I haven't heard it mentioned before now.
I was gonna totally scream if you were gonna say exactly what I was thinking too. I was gonna be like, oh my gosh, she's gonna say it's the Eye of Magnus, but Alien is pretty good because it does look like an alien stone. It absolutely doesn't. I didn't even think about that, but I think that's probably a lot closer, which would make sense. So, I mean, we know how the Bretons came about because the Otmer were terrible
Mm-hmm.
and, yeah, enslaved the Medes and made Breton.
Mm-hmm.
So there has to have been either the Breton came to the sisters later, or the Breton, or there were like Nedic people there, and the Altmer, or like the Altmer came there and brought slaves or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
really interesting implications.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be a massive big loregasm when the chapter
Yeah,
drops.
I'm so
It's going to
excited.
be insane.
Seriously.
Absolutely insane.
I'm so excited that they get to write actually new lore. They don't have to worry about anything that's. I mean, it's kind of have to worry about the future of
Yes.
Tamriel,
Yes.
but not that much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So, what other things do we need to talk about?
Besides, do you want to save the title thing for later, or do you want to talk about that?
The title thing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the universal title.
Oh yeah, we can. Let's go on to that. But before we do it, let's talk a few other things from update 33 that we'll be getting. Update 33 will bring us a new assistant. So this has been talked about quite a lot in the post shows, but I don't think it's been picked up very much by the community because I think it's quite an interesting one. I mean, we have the banking assistant, we have the trader assistant, we now have the armory assistant, but they're giving us a deconstruction assistant.
Yeah, that was weird.
Now it's a bit of a niche one. It's interestingly on the Aussie stream yesterday, the Bethesda ANZ stream yesterday, Daku was saying that he's going to get it straight off because his banks are full, his chests are full, his guild bank's full. He has no space anywhere on any of his alts. So when he does dungeons,
oh my God.
it's the only option he has is to sell, and he'd rather not do that. So this deconstruction assistant gives someone like him, and there will be players like him, the ability to actually get the materials back and not just the pittance of gold that you get from selling items.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing, especially if it's blue or purple jewellery, to be able to harvest those potential deconstructed materials so that you can make stuff later, rather than getting 20 gold coins for instead of a zircon grain, which you could get 3,500-4,000 gold for if you sold it in a guild store. It's a big difference, huge difference. And interestingly, Map Lineator said that sounds like a you problem, not a game problem, which is a serious roast. I laughed my ass off about that. But there will be a significant amount of players that are in that same circumstance. Heavy players, heavy dungeon players, who they just have no room. They'll have 18 alts, they'll have so many builds filling up their chests, and they just have to sell everything they get. So it'll be good for them. But I can't imagine that's a big segment of the population of the game.
Yeah.
Oh,
Maybe people.
you know who I just forgot?
Who?
People who don't have ESO Plus.
Oh, you're right. Oh, we can't forget those people. Yeah, absolutely.
People
absolutely.
who don't have ESO Plus will have far reduced bank and inventory space.
Yeah.
But even then, if you're not ESO Plus, how are you going to be able to afford 5,000 crowns for an assistant? You know.
That's true. Yeah, I guess maybe if you're willing to drop, 5,000. That's a lot. That's like $40.
All the assistants are
US
like
dollars.
huge crowns.
Yeah.
They're never cheap.
Yeah, that's true. They should make a decon. Well, that's stupid. I was just about to say they should make a decon crafting station. That's why they're making a. They have one. That's why they're making a follower. Why they're making a merchant. So.
Yes. So just a comment in chat from Real Swag Overlord. Thoughts on High Isle. I think the consensus from the two of us at the moment is that we can't wait. Is thoughts on High Isle. We've talked about, so far in the podcast, we've talked about concerns about the explorable area, but excitement about the setting, deep excitement about the the freedom that the developers have had to develop the lore behind High Isle. There's many unanswered questions about how the three factions will fit into the storyline, whether it's just an initial tag or hook to get us there, or whether it's going to be connected intimately through the year's storyline, and whether it will have significant impact on the game. So it's I'd say that there are some things that we're concerned about, but equally there are many things that we're very happy about. And thank you for the follow, Real Swaggle Lord. So you followed up there, say you're in a few ESO forums and Facebook groups, you see a lot of hate towards it, especially about the card game, because Elder Scrolls Legends was a big flop. Well, that's an interesting perspective, and I think for a lot of people who are not interested in any way at card games, they'll be disappointed. There'll be a lot of people who would have much preferred a new class or new skill line, and for those people, yeah, they're not going to get what they were hoping for, and that's going to manifest itself in a fair amount of disappointment. It's the card game aspect, but for many players who like have played The Witcher or played Hearthstone or played Elder Scrolls Legends, the incorporation, the embedding of a card game within Elder Scrolls may well be something that keeps them playing the game that might otherwise have seen them walk away. And I think that's one of the reasons why they've done it. It's not about satisfying the players who are here. It's about attracting new players and retaining players who might otherwise leave, because they've explored all the game modes that they have available and there's nothing else they want to do. So I think, as much as it's not what a lot of people were looking for the health of the game needs to keep generating new players, or bringing in new players. The game needs to keep the players who might have explored all the other aspects that there is to explore. And as we talked about earlier, Antiquities didn't scratch that itch. It's a nice little pastime, but it's not a core activity that you would do on a daily basis. And I think the card game might be one of those things that makes people log in when otherwise they would not have logged in. And concurrent players and continued heavy usage of the game by players is going to be the thing that makes Elder Scrolls Online survive. So I think this was an existential development. This is something that I had been thinking, well, we need to keep increasing the player base. We need to keep the player base that we have. And although a large segment would have liked that diversity in builds, classes, and skill lines, the thing that they've learned from the release of the Warden with Morrowind, the release of the Necromancer with Elsewhere, is that these things didn't manifestly largely increase the player base. And Rich Lambert talked about this on stream. They have the numbers, they have the statistics. The new classes did not result in a bump in user base. So that's why they've gone this way, I think.
Well, I want to chime in on the card game too, because I see that Real Swag Overlord has also said that Legends doesn't have any players currently, and that's because it's not a supported game anymore. It hasn't been supported for years at this point, I think.
Yep.
The card game did have trouble getting off its feet, but the people that were playing it were like, it was a really, really, really good card game. And I know I'm maybe a little bit biased because, as I said earlier, I kind of come from a collectible card game background, I guess. It's not really a background, but I very much enjoyed that in the past. And the game, I mean, when you look at games like Hearthstone and you look at games like Elder Scrolls Legends, whenever they implement things, a new expansion or a new card pack, one card can be so OP that it just destroys the meta, and people have to come up with creative things to combat that. And there's always this uproar whenever the meta gets changed in any game really, but in collectible card games. And then it ends up they either nerf it or buff it, which I'm sure they'll do in ESO because they do that constantly with sets and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then it'll make the game work well. But I think people who are naysayers against the card game are more like, that's not what I wanted. They wanted, whatever they wanted, their thing that they wanted implemented isn't getting implemented. But the card games is going to be really fun. I think, and I did see that there was hate on Twitter and stuff like that. And I mean, I think it's, from what they explained in the reveal, I feel like it's hard to say this expansion is going to be trash. One, because you haven't seen it really. We haven't really seen it implemented. And two, it's all new content. I mean, they're doing so many brand new things. So I think we should like maybe sit back and wait and be if you want to be cautiously optimistic, absolutely, I support that because there's 100% precedence to be cautiously optimistic. But I mean, I just sometimes it's hard for me to wrap my head around the hate and just the hate that comes from really nowhere, or well, they didn't do the thing that I wanted to do, so this game sucks now, or it's going to be trash. And it's like, well, okay, yeah, I get it, but they're also doing other great stuff too. So happy medium.
Yeah, I mean, Real Swag Overlord makes another point about they're worried about a lack of new, inverted commas, meaningful content might result in a loss of players. Look, for sure, there are some people that are not going to be satisfied with the content. I think each year we have a segment of the ESO community that isn't blown away by what we've got. But equally, they've still done the basics. The end gamers will still have 4 new dungeons and a trial to work towards their trifectas and their achievements. The questers are going to have a storyline that's going to be very different to the past few years' storylines, and an area of lore that will bring novelty, that will add to the excitement. And PvPers are going to have to sit on their hands, and that's a given. And that's probably the community that's probably most likely to walk away over the course of the next year, because we're in a waiting position to wait until the server architecture code is rewritten before they can actually do anything meaningful with PvP. So yeah, there will be some hemorrhage of the player base, of the long-term player base. And I think that's, but I guess the calculus, the calculations they've done, is that the increase in player base they'll get for having an embedded card game is going to offset significantly any loss they'll experience during the game. And I'm pretty sure they'll have crunched the numbers on this. They won't launched into this as a lazy exercise. Oh, we'll give them a card game. There will be some serious financial calculations and projections behind this that they think are solid enough to have actually done what they did. So we'll just have to wait and see. For sure, Real Swag Overlord, Elder Scrolls Legends was not in the top tier in terms of numbers relative to many of the other card games, and that's a given. And for sure, that no one's going to argue with that.
No, absolutely. It was 100. Like I will say, it was 100% a copy paste of Hearthstone. I mean, they tried to do what Hearthstone did, and with Elder Scrolls skin on it, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I didn't mean to maybe make it sound like I was focusing on what you were saying, Real Swag Overlord. It was more of something that I had noticed personally when I was like trolling through Twitter about everything. Like in this expansion, I was like, I don't get. I mean, I get the criticism. I'm 100% open, or not open. I'm 100% supporter of criticizing this game because there's a lot to criticize. And if you love something, you should criticize it. That's my mantra. But I mean, just the hate off of nothing. I was just like, what? I don't see. People hate Bretons, and it's like because they have no lore. And I'm like, I made a tweet about it the other day. I'm like, people who think Bretons don't have any lore, I mean, they do. It just takes a little bit of looking into, and also, Khajiit didn't have as much in-depth lore as they have now with Elder Scrolls Online. So, ESO is going to be making some new lore, and I'm so excited and thrilled for it.
Yeah. And I guess Real Swag Overlord is just agreeing with you that sometimes the harshest words can often come from the biggest fans. But I think we've always got to temper that with making sure that the way that we deliver that message is in the manner in which it will yield positive change. I think that's the key thing, is that the developers, I mean, every time we get official communications or reveals or produced videos, the developers are always go to great lengths to acknowledge that the game wouldn't exist without the community that plays it. Sure, if we see things that we think would massively improve the game, we should be open. We should openly make these messages heard in the forums, Twitter, any social media channel that gives us an access to an ear that listens to us. I think that the issue comes if the dialogue transitions over to has a nasty element to it, and I think It's
Yeah.
I play a lot of PvP, as I've said many times in the past, and the PvP community has just had this period of significant, less than productive dialogue that has actually resulted in steps being taken, both within the community and from the developers, to try and take a step back and think a bit more carefully about how we engage. It shouldn't have to come to that, but it did. And I think we're fantastically lucky and fortunate that it hasn't gone the other way, that the developers have decided, okay, sod you, we'll just walk away from PvP.
Yeah.
They've decided to lean in. They've decided to commit a year's worth of server architecture revision to allow the PvP mode of the game to be what we all wish it could be. And to be honest, they could have gone the other way. They could have just cut it out. They could have said, fine, go to New World.
Yeah.
See ya.
Yeah. Bye. Don't let the write you on the way out. Yeah, they could have said that for sure.
So, well, I say it's each year. Look, there was a lot of people. I wasn't a fan of Necromancer when we first got it in Southern Elsewhere. For me, it was a class we should never have had, because it's so difficult from a lore perspective to weave in that the vestige is a necromancer.
Yeah,
considering that
definitely.
the vestige's role is to fight the forces of necromancy, as manifested by Manimarco throughout the entire Tamriel. But at the same time, I gave it a chance, and I now have a necromancer that I've leveled, and I'm enjoying it both PvP and PvE, mechanistically from the perspective of the gameplay, rather not from the perspective of questing. But I think each year will present challenges in terms of what people wish had been included and what was. This year's no different, I think.
Yeah, it did break a lot of lore, like you were saying, Cynic, and like Real Swag Overlord just saying, yeah, it did. I was definitely not a fan of it, but I'm glad they implemented the justice system with it. You know, they did the same thing like they do for vampires and werewolves.
Yeah. I mean, vampirism and werewolves they're part of the Elder Scrolls universe. They're part of the lore. Mm-hmm. How it's implemented on a player basis, on a character basis, vampirism annoys the hell out of me. Because it's meta to be stage 3 vampire when you're in Cyrodiil, and all the strongest players, the players that survive the easiest, are all running stage 3 vampirism, and the fact that you have to lean into a skill line like that to be competitive, and it makes you more competitive than people that don't, it just doesn't seem right to me from a PvP perspective. Werewolves are another matter. Werewolves is just a little niche side thing, and you come across them in Cyrodiil and you can either run away or not. But the vampirism thing really, really bothers me, because it's any streamer that you see, any PvP streamer that's doing 1vxing will be 3rd stage vampire, and they'll lean into that, and you can't survive otherwise. That annoys me a lot. It shouldn't be that way, but it's the way it is. Real Swag Overlord mentions ship battle PvP. I think the game has got a lot of potential for new styles of PvP. To have some kind of naval combat would be pretty cool, but that would be on a level that would be as much complication to implement as the sieging mechanics that we have in Cyrodiil. We're a good couple of years away from getting anything like that, I would say. But there are many issues with PvP, and as Real Swag Overlord mentions in chat, it's made them walk away from PvP because of some of the issues. I lean in. I still stick with it because I've got hopes that the game will be able to deal with the problems it has in PvP, and I enjoy what we have at the moment.
New World wasn't such a mess, I think we'd probably lose a lot more people.
If New World wasn't such a difficult beast in terms of PvP and progression and builds and economy, I think ESO might have suffered a lot worse than it has over the past 6-12 months. Now, quickly, just before we go on to the other big thing, the achievement thing, multi-rider mounts is going to be coming with the new update. Update 33 is going to give us these 2-person mounts, which is going to be great for the role players out there. and the people who like to make OCs, original characters, and really embed themselves within them when they play the game. That's going to be nice for immersion for a lot of the people. So that's going to be coming. There's going to be at least 2 different types. They showcased a horse, a two-saddle horse, in the post-show from the reveal, and we saw last year as well. They showed us the Dwemer mount with the 2 seats.
Yeah.
So we'll most likely get that as well. So your companion can use it, a group member can use it. So it's gonna be a fun little addition to the game for aspects for portions of the community that like to really live within the game. So that's going to be good for them.
Yeah, that'd be good.
But the other big thing we haven't talked about, and we do need to talk about this because it's a contentious issue. There have been many people in the ESO community who are overjoyed, literally over the moon, with the fact that with the new update we will get account-wide achievements. There are many people who play this game basically checking in on their achievement score. I think there's a total of potentially 40,000 points or thereabouts to get the maximum full achievements for the entire game. And there are many people, especially people who play on console, where achievement point scoring is an integral part in your satisfaction in completing a game. That is going to make the world of difference to them, because they've been. It is with any game like this, getting to that full achievement total on one character is near impossible.
It's
It's
almost 50,000.
Yeah, it goes up every year, obviously, because each new expansion comes with a whole new set of points.
True. True.
So, it's been asked for, and ESO have delivered. And for many people, it is going to change the way they play the game. They won't feel slavishly required to log in on their main character, their main, and they'll be able to experience it with their other characters. They'll be able to fill the gaps. Maybe they want to do the Almeri Dominion faction zone quests on their AD character. They don't want to have to do it by doing Cadwell's Gold or Silver. They want to actually have their AD character get those achievements for them. That's a big thing. That's a fantastic thing to have. So your story-based, your quest-based achievement points can be obtained with your character you feel is most appropriate to do those quest lines, rather than having the single character that has to go through everything. I've got my main character, who's a spell sword, who's essentially from High Rock. He's going to be doing Morrowind and Vardenfell, so I can make sure I get all the achievements in one character. But now I could say, okay, no, I'll get my Dunmer Dragon Knight to do those achievements, so that I can get my total and not have to deal with that. I mean, I had to even take my Sork through the Dark Brotherhood questline, popping invisibility potions all the time instead of using my Nightblade skills, so I can get all the achievements on that character. I won't need to do that anymore if that achievement hunting is what I want to get out of the game. I've got another follow there from Baba Yaga. Nice to see you. Thank you for the follow. So let's just catch up with the chat. And as Real Swag Overlord said, ESO has never been a seriously grindy game, and they've actually made it even less grindy with this, which is something a lot of other people have said. Heavy Hand of God.
It'd be nice for the. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
Heavy Hand of God said, yes, you're doing it all in one character. It's a long road. Easier with other tunes. Yeah. That's where a lot of people. There's a lot of people who just breathe a big sigh of relief when that announcement's made.
And with the grindier aspects of the game, like the Dark Brotherhood and Thieves Guild, if you're grinding for the Assassin and I think it's the Scoundrel title, it's the worst. It's literally the worst. It's torture. Like having to just grind and do stealth quests, because I don't play a stealth character either, and I'm not good at stealth in this game, and it's just so difficult. I just ended up running through all of the I'm working on the Thieves Guild one actually right now, and I'm just running through all of these to just get the achievements. I'm not even caring about being stealthy, I'm just taking the hits. It's the worst.
Yep. Interestingly, Real Swag Overlord and Baba Yaga both brought up another point about one of the things that is still grindy about ESO is mount upgrades.
That's true.
Now, it's a very long process. It is literally 180 days to get to full mount upgrades on the 3 different skill lines of the mount. That's a long time.
Yeah.
And so do we need to wait a full 20 hours? It's essentially a 24-hour period. Essentially, because we don't exist on a 20-hour clock, so it does end up being 24 hours essentially. It's and yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Real Swag Overlord. It's one of these things that makes people log in every day. Not just the daily login rewards, not just the daily writs, but the mount training is also one of those things that makes people log in every day. So, it's unlikely to be mechanically changed. And even though Baba Yaga mentions that they think it should be possible to upgrade with gold, there is a way you could upgrade with gold. You can buy those riding training vouchers with crowns, and you can use ways to get crown stores items gifted to you with gold through sanctioned but not fully approved channels. There are Discord servers where people do crown exchange, and it's acknowledged that it's viable within terms of service, but it's not particularly encouraged by ZeniMax. But they're not going to stamp it out because it's gifting one currency for another in game, crowns for gold, so they don't mind too much.
Yeah, I've used it a couple of times. It's a good system. They run it really well.
Yeah, and also Nano's mentioning you can use your gems. You can use your gems now to well, you've always been able to use your gems to buy. You crown create gems that you've extracted. You can buy riding vouchers with those, but yeah, the cost is very, very high, and there's no denying that. It's very, very different to the price you would pay to waiting your 20 days. And as Lefty says, the exchange rate for crowns at the moment is insane on both E and
crazy.
And yeah, nice to see you, Lefty. I saw your hello earlier on, but we were in in-depth conversation about something at the time. Nice to see you. So the account-wide achievements is and actually Skinny Cheeks just posted a 6-minute video on this just literally within the last 8 hours. The one segment of the community that is well, for me, I made my statement about it on Twitter. As soon as I saw it, I said it's fine for other people to play that way. If they want to have their achievements account-wide, if they want to have their titles account-wide, that's fine. Personally, I will only put a title on a character that I've used to earn that title. I've got Stormproof on my character you see in front of you. I don't have Flawless Conqueror yet. It's one of the things I want to get from my main character. I have completed Veteran Maelstrom on that character in front of you, and one of my titles I use quite frequently is Stormproof, which is the title I use for getting Vet Maelstrom. I will not use Stormproof on my Templar, I will not use Stormproof on my Warden, I will not use it on my Necro, I will not use it on my Dragon Knight, I won't use it on my Nightblade. Until I have taken those classes through that content, I will not use that title on them. Because that, for me, that's why I play the game. I play the game to be multi-class, multi-role, and unless I win the achievement doing that with that character, I won't put the title on it. But that's me, and many people feel very, very differently, but that's because they play the game differently to I do, and that's the way that ESO is wonderful, is it lets people play the game their way. So all power to anyone who wants to take their Emperor title, or my former, somebody like me who's got former Emperor as a title, I could now use that across all my characters. Even a level 10 Cyrodiil newbie, I could put former Emperor on that, according to the new update. But I won't. Other people can and will, and that's great. I won't, because I only put former Emperor on a title on a character that I've taken to win Emperor in Cyrodiil. For me, that's the way I play the game, but I'm more than happy for other people to play the game however they want to play it. So that's the way that I view the thing. It's up for people to do whatever they want to do with the game, and it always will be. That's the way. That's one of the biggest. That's the perspective of ZeniMax. That's what they want players to be able to do. That's one of the big pulling draws for the game, is that you play the game your way, and this is just one more aspect of it. Skinny Cheeks did. Skinny Cheeks did put out his video that basically said the end game trialists and dungeoners are not happy because the titles, earning a title on a character is one of the few reasons why they still play the game. Because they want to get the title of whether it's a Ophidian Overlord for doing Veteran Dragonstar or whatever on a new trial. the reason they keep playing the game is because, okay, I've done this on this character that's a stamina dragon knight. I'm going to do the same thing on a Magicka Nightblade. And the whole reason I'm still playing the game is because I want to get the buzz of the achievement of doing it on a different class, in a different role, in a different way. And I want to earn the title for that character by doing that content in that way. And apparently that's one of the biggest driving forces for most of the endgame players, is that nature of... Because they don't get anything else. They get their cosmetics from doing it once, which is account-wide. They get their mounts or the skins for doing it once, that's account-wide. But the only thing that's different is the title. And the fact they've made titles uniform across account is, without any distinction at all, it's essentially just pulled the rug out from underneath them. They don't... I mean, why play the game anymore? You know?
So I think they could have made a good compromise with, like, not doing... Like, they said they didn't include some content already. I forget what they said that they didn't include. But they could almost exclude all endgame content, which is, like, PvP titles, dungeon and trials and arenas. They could I think that they could make it like just be like quest content, if you will, like Dark Brotherhood titles, Thieves Guild titles, titles you get from like the Wretched. You get the title of the Wretched from just completing the single quest line in Deadlands. Like, those ones would be easy to do. Or like Spirit Seeker. You get Spirit Seeker from just praying at altars in the Reach. Like it's so arbitrary. But not having to do that on all characters is good. And I mean, I feel I'm neutral because I only play with one character anyway, so I just get all the achievements on her. But I do understand. I see both sides. Like, I see the RPers who want to have this title on their character, even though they didn't earn it on that specific character, but they want to have like Sergeant on their character because they're like role play like a sergeant. But I mean, I do see the end gamers who are like, I want to achieve this and show off that I've achieved this, and like so people know, like you with your former emperor, like you like to. I know you're the type of guy who likes to walk around with his chest puffed out with your little former emperor title because you earned it, like, and rightfully so. You should.
Yes, I'm all about the swagger. That's why I play this game. I don't have the Jester personality, but I should, and then I'll just walk around Vardenfell, Vivexity.
But you should.
That's it.
Yeah. Slow walk with a heroic personality.
Yeah. That's interesting. Chat's kind of seems to have the same kind of viewpoint that if it's like a really valuable content related, difficult content related title, that they would primarily use it on characters that have earned it. Although fishing titles, I think a lot of people would happily use Master Angler across all their characters and not have to do it on all of them. That's just insane.
Or like Style Master, or that's a fun one. Yeah.
But at the same time, it's been one of these things that's been called for by such a large percentage of the community. It was always going to happen, I guess. But I think the way it's going to be implemented could have been refined a little bit. I think one of the things that Skinny was mentioning in his video is they could have had a way to indicate on the title with a little symbol or a colour.
I saw that.
That this character actually earned this title, kind of thing, rather than
That's a good idea.
It's. I mean, it's. I mean, some of these titles are incredible. Anyone getting flawless? I've not got flawless yet on VMA. It's one of my big white whales, my big Moby Dick white whale that I still have to harpoon. It's one of those big things that I still have to do to satisfy my own needs in terms of completionism for this game. Doing it on any character is a huge achievement, and it'd be nice to be able to show that to people. That, okay, I'm on my level 5 Warden, but I'm CP 1600, which is visible to everyone, and I've done Vet and Maelstrom. Flawless. It'd be nice to have that ability to do it, but it would also be nice to say, and it was on this character, this one right here. That kind of refinement would be pretty cool, and it would satisfy both needs, I think. Sorry, Nana's saying that we've got the lovely portrait painting of my character to prove that this character was Emperor. Yes, thank you, Nana. Yes. Indeed, yes.
Yeah. um, but yeah, that's I think it's bringing it. I mean, I don't know. I think it's a standard across MMOs where you have account-wide titles. I don't remember this specifically when I played WoW, but it was brought to my attention by a friend that that's how it is in WoW. Like in World of Warcraft, it's you have the they're account-wide titles regardless of what character you're playing. So apparently it's an industry norm. But yeah, I mean, I think Elder Scrolls strives in its like role play ability, if you will. Not even if you're a role player, but like you're a character. You're you're
Your character
Geralt
immersion.
Telkantar. Yeah, exactly. Like Geralt is the emperor, like in your story, and not your other character like Lucius isn't an emperor,
No,
because
Lucius
he
is
didn't earn
definitely
it.
an emperor. He'd be too busy
Yeah.
chatting up ladies. It's not what he would do.
Maybe he could seduce his way to the throne. Who knows?
Who knows? Yes.
But yeah, I think that would I see. So I see people being upset about it, and I think they're valid. Absolutely, their concerns are valid.
But the good thing is that this kind of thing could be easily amended in a patch or updated. The account-wide achievement is the watershed moment, and I think it would be well within the ability of the community to lobby for that refinement, to see, okay, look, you've given us this. It's great for huge swathes of the player base, but for these segments, it'd be really cool if we get this little tweak, this little twist. And so I mean, we may well get these changes, and that's something we could advocate for. So Lefty's just about to leave us. She was just online earlier on. Actually, let's give a quick shout out to Lefty because she was streaming earlier today.
Thanks for hanging out.
She's just getting back into streaming more like regularly. She's a great content creator, so check out her channel.
Oh, nice. Good.
Drop her a follow. So yeah, it's a contentious point, but I think it's a good development, but something that can be refined. I think it'd probably be a good way to look at this thing.
Yeah.
One of the great things about it though is it has brought into focus how we all play the game, differently. The diversity in how we play the game and the ability of the game to facilitate that diversity is one of the amazing strengths of Elder Scrolls Online.
It truly is. And, like you said, or like we were both saying earlier, another way to play the game again, we're going to have people who just log in to play the card game. I mean, I know I probably am when content like dwindles down. Yeah. I just know I love card games, so it's going to be great. I'm so excited because I have Google Stadia, and that means I can play on my phone. I can play ESO on my phone, so I can see myself logging in just to log into ESO to play the card game casually.
Exactly, it's one of those things that, okay, I don't want a quest, I don't want a dungeon, I don't want to do anything else, but yeah, I'll play a card game today. Yeah. Oh wow, look at this, we have been raided. This is fantastic.
Oh wow.
We have had a raid from Icy, who's an absolutely fantastic streamer. She's a lovely, lovely person. And it's nice to see you, Icy. We're just chatting about the new expansion, the new details, the new content. Thank you for coming over with your community. You can't. It's not just me today. It's me and Livia. We're talking about the new reveal. I guess lots of people are talking about the reveal. Nice to see you, Ember Fairy. Yeah, I think you were chewing the fat with your community about the new reveal. Bodhi's in chat as well. If it's not Scottish, it's crap. Yes, there you go.
Nice to meet you too.
Look at that. So Icy, I saw you on the Bethesda ANZ stream yesterday, and as always, you always add that air of authority and knowledge to those to the Bethesda ANZ streams, and it was really nice to see what you were saying and talking about with new content. So I sorry I missed your stream earlier today. I was getting ready for this one, but I'd say we've covered quite a lot already today. We've covered the setting, we've covered the potential storylines, we've covered the mechanics, we've just gone close to the conclusion of talking about the account-wide achievements. which I know is has been on the forefront of most people's minds for since the reveal. It's one of the biggest announcements they actually made. Scorpio's asking about the Aussie giveaway from Bethesda. I think the best way for you to find out about that, yes, please do, Icy. I don't think it's locked, so you should be able to go for it. Icy's going to post the link for you, Scorpio. This is Bodhi's snuck in with the link. Sneaky Bodhi.
Didn't even say hi first.
Benevolent Bodhi is a fantastic content creator for Elder Scrolls. He's got a fantastic website, and he's a very, very fun chat participant. Now, this is something else people might not be aware of. We missed out in Australia and New Zealand on many of the giveaways on the reveal stream and the post show. But we have one of the best community teams in the Bethesda family for Australia and New Zealand. And they have arranged for the Australian and New Zealand viewers to have access to a giveaway for a very, very unique item. So in Scorpio, but Bodhi just put the link to the tweet, just a few entries up in the chat. Benevolent Bodhi put the tweet, a link to the Bethesda ANZ Twitter channel. That's the link you need to click on to get access to the competition. We have the ability to win what we call in Australia an esky, which is essentially a small tub in which you put chilled drinks, and traditionally it will be beer because that's Australia for you. We have a treasure chest, full timber treasure chest that's got inside a classic refrigerator for chilling your beer. We have a Breton beer, and not only do we have the chiller, we actually have specially commissioned Breton bitter ale, bottles of Breton bitter that will fill that cool box, and it's only access. The competition is only for people from Australia and New Zealand. And
I'm
yes,
so jealous. It's so cool.
it is. I'm dying to win that. It'll be fantastic. Yes, indeed. And Real Swag Overlord is asking, am I in Australia? Yes, I am. All of my accent is Scottish because I am Scottish. I live in Australia now.
Yeah, and even having your guys' own labeled like beer or like an own brew, that's like a Breton. Oh, that's so cool. In general, I want just a bottle of that.
Yes.
Reminds me of when the skooma came out.
Oh yeah.
The absinthe. Yeah.
So I mean, Icy will know this because Kim Lee Bender was talking about this on the Australia post show from the reveal that we've had some of the best innovations in terms of merchandising content. Because Australia's Bethesda team gave the world the Dagon body pillow.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. That was the Australia team.
Mm-hmm.
Dang.
Yep. It's the world looks on and learns from the Bethesda ANZ team about what the community really wants. So we're very well served. Yep. As you say, Daddy Dagon was all Kim's idea. She's brilliant.
Yeah, she's good. I like her a lot too. I follow the ANZ, obviously for you. I follow the Sense ANZ people.
Nana's saying we need to be innovative in Australia to survive all the things that want to kill us in this country. That's why we need to be innovative. Nano.
Resourceful, absolutely.
We are the real world inspiration for what's the name? Amanas, the new zone. One of the new islands in New Zealand. In the content we're getting, Amanas was modelled on Australia. Convict island with lots of animals that want to kill you. And no worries, actually, you lurk away. Indian for dinner, nice. Yep, go and grab it. Feed the feast to the family. Swag Overlord saying people say spiders will kill you in Australia, but no one talks about magpies and hot concrete.
Sorry.
Yeah, magpies are the real MVP when it comes to hazards in Australia.
God, spiders.
Cool. And yeah, buddy, get your endeavours done. So try to think other things I want to mention about the reveal that we've not covered so far. Other things. What needs to.
Well, the collector's edition was really cool.
Oh, go ahead. You go ahead, and then I'll go into my thing. Go for it.
Okay. So I thought that I mean, just being I I dropped money on the collector's edition because I just had to, and the collector's edition is pretty cool. Actually, you know what I'll do on stream? I'll pull up the two mount the mount and the
Yeah, sure. I'll follow you out because we'll have to go outside, won't we? Or are you gonna build?
or I
bring it
can
up
do it
here?
in here too.
Do it, okay.
Yeah.
So for those of you who are watching on listening to the podcast, to get access to the vision that we're going to have on screen, you'll have to check out the VOD on Olivia's YouTube page. But that's a small price to pay for the extra visual stimulus. So if you're listening on Spotify or Apple or whatever, at this point, I recommend you check the YouTube. So go for it, Liv.
The Pelfrost elk mount up first. I'm going to put it in the hallway area here.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. I'm going to just turn it.
Oh, look at that.
Pretty awesome.
It's fantastic. I have it already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have that one?
Yep.
And then I'll put the, I have to take it away to put the little fawn. The fawn's so cute. But then, someone on Twitter, I saw that they said they have a 1,000-yard stare. Oops, so close to me. A 1,000-yard stare. And they absolutely do. Just the eyes are so light that they just they're staring off into nothing.
Yeah, you can just see it there. Yes, those eyes are very, very wide open. And yet, as Nano said, Real Swag Overlord, there is no physical collector's edition. We have the digital things you get with the special edition, but the merchandise store does have the statue of the Ascendant Lord, which is the main baddie for the year's content. We do have that statue, which is also a letter opener. So they've not given us a physical collector's edition, but they have put something in the merchandise store, which is what they would have had in a physical collector's edition, just like they had the vampire statue, the Molag Bal statue, or the other statues we've had in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, but the mount's pretty cool. The mount is very, very cool.
Yeah, and you get a bunch of other good stuff too. I think you get the Ascendant Lord, crafting motifs when the game releases. There's a bunch of other things that you get too. If it's feasible for someone, I always recommend getting the stuff because it's just cool stuff, collectible stuff to have if you're into that kind of thing.
Yeah. I'm a big sucker for motifs. Not so much emotes, but I like them. The mounts that we're going to get, there's for the digital collectors, there's a mount and a pet, and lots of other stuff.
Like a lizard thing, yeah.
And Bodhi's just quickly mentioned in chat the $3,000 Daedric dagger that's on pre-order on the Bethesda store at the moment.
Oh, I saw that.
When you absolutely positively have to murder someone with lore-friendly weaponry. Yes, that's.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool. It's really cool. Yeah, it's really cool. On Etsy, you can get reasonably priced 3D printed weapons that are pretty cool. So as well, you can get daggers and stuff.
Yes, Swag Overlord said the same thing. Get a 3D printer and do one yourself.
Yeah.
Yes.
What were you going to mention though? I'm excited.
Now you will be interested in this because I know that you really like the secret components of dungeons.
Oh, yes. Yeah? Yes.
And one of the things that Finn revealed in the post-show for the broadcast yesterday was that the new dungeons do have secret areas. They're leaning into heavily because they know that everyone loves them. But the new thing this year is the secret areas will have additional narrative components to them.
I'm so excited.
So it's not just go this way and find a boss, it's go this way and find out new lore fragments associated with the dungeon or the content for the year. I think
so exciting.
I'm so happy that Finn is getting given the ability to do this with the dungeons, to make them story rich, and even more so now because of these secret zones. It's not just go here, get this boss, get a buff to do something else. It is literally there's narrative connections now in the secret areas, and this is hopefully one of the things people have been calling for many things. Matagon wants a bard. Bodhi wants stackable treasure maps. I want the ability to redo the story quest of dungeons. Just like a daily repeatable quest, for the story to be, for the dungeon content to be quest marker linked, like it is the very first time you go there. so that you can just replay it, and if you don't get a pug that wants to wait, you can hang around it. But you want to do the content, you run through it, but you know that you'll be able to come back 2 days' time, 3 days' time, a week's time with your group of friends and play through it and just soak up the lore, soak up the environment, soak up the dialogue, soak up everything. The dungeons are such a big part of the yearly content that we get. 2 of the 4 expansions that we get in any year are dungeon expansions. And the ability to replay the quests, actually replay the quest, not just listen to the dialogue again, because this is one of the things that Finn's mentioned in the past, is that with the newer content, with the newer dungeons, the dialogue of the dungeons, which is a big part of the story, the narrative of the dungeon, does replay exactly as it would as if you had the quest. That's not the case for some of the earlier dungeons, and it's certainly not exactly the same as being forced to talk to them, being forced to go through the quest dialogue progression to get to the next stage. It's a kind of halfway house we've got at the moment. I'm really hopeful at some point they will bend the community desire to actually have replayable dungeon quests, so that and it goes back to this we've been talking about already today, this immersion that we have with our characters. You may want to really experience the dungeon quest with the character that you played the story quest with, the rest of the game with, and actually experience it as a real, as part of your character's arc, as part of your character's development. But the addition of this narrative aspect to the secret zones does say to me that ZeniMax have, they know that people who do dungeons appreciate and enjoy the story aspects of it. So let's hope we can take some steps in the time to come, whether it's this year, whether it's next year, so we can just have that teal blue quest marker that says this is repeatable for the dungeon story.
I would love that too. Yeah. And even give give a drop of rewards, like have a chance to get the motif for that dungeon or something like that, or a motif for that expansion or that chapter or whatever, or something like that. That would be cool to do. Like do an event. You know how the event boxes are like that.
Oh yeah.
Do it like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, Heavy never got it. You can pay more attention to the story if you're able to repeat it and go in with the right group of people. The last thing you want to do is, like I did yesterday, going to scale collar with a fake tank, a fake heal, and DPS that wanted to run ahead.
God.
You can't do story content like that. You can't. It's impossible.
No.
It's impossible.
Is the vet scale collar?
Yeah, no, it wasn't. It was normal. We died repeatedly.
Okay.
We kept cycling through
Even a vet?
team members. It was hideous.
Even regular? Wow.
Yeah. Oh, scale collar's an absolute nightmare for pugs, even on normal.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's yeah. But that was that was one of the big things I took from. There's lots of cool stuff you can learn watching Finn go through each of the 2 dungeons, the bosses, some story aspects are connected to the manifestation of the boss, its form, and so on. But he did mention specifically the secret zones are there and they're story connected.
I love the secrets. And on Hollowed Grave, the secrets were actually pretty in depth. There was 3. There's 3 secret bosses, and I think 3. Well, 3 times where it has to where they affect one another, and the secret bosses are so cool. That just the first secret boss that you go into through the left side of the hallway in that cave, it's just so haunting, and he's like whispering to you, and I used to play Destiny back when it first came out, and it actually really reminded me of their trials, or I forgot what they call them, but their end game content that was like trial like, and you had to do this whole where you jump around and you have to look around where the next ledge to jump on, and it's really cool. One of the cooler things that Destiny did, and when it was implemented in ESO, I was like, oh my, it was so cool. Where you have to drop down and use the grappling hook, and it's just so cool.
Excellent.
They should do it to all dungeons, but I know it's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of work. I could try to think. Is there anything on my list of things that we haven't talked about? Oh, another thing which came out from the post show, and again, there's so many things that happen in the post show that you hear about. that you don't get in
Seriously.
full reveal. There will be a new Overland event for the chapter.
Oh, right.
It's not.
Can't believe we forgot about that.
So it's not Dolmen, obviously. It's not dragons, obviously. It's not Harrowstorms.
Sorry.
They're called volcanic vents, and they're going to act pretty much like the abyssal geysers or geysers in Somerset. So essentially, it's going to be, but equally, there are going to be story elements to them too. So it's the encounter. Finn's running the show. The encounter Devhead is sneaking in lore everywhere into all the stuff he's doing. The Overland World events, the volcanic vents, are going to be of the same type of magnitude as the abyssal geysers in Somerset, and there's going to be story aspects behind how they've appeared. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is exciting. I love like the Harrowstorms were so cool in Greymore. I love that kind of content.
Yeah.
And the dragons. I mean, it's the same idea. But yeah, very, very good. I like that stuff a lot. And there's always titles associated with them too. So I'm excited for whatever title.
Yes, and you got your Harrowstorm one, didn't you, from that stream on Ninja's channel? That was fun.
Yeah, I did. That was a fun one.
Oh, Bodhi's just mentioning in chat that Finn was about to excuse Finn for not announcing the stackable treasure maps when he saw in Finn's inventory portable crafting stations. So just like we were talking earlier on about the deconstruction system, you could actually see in Finn's inventory he had portable crafting stations in his inventory that he could deploy and use regardless of where he was in the game. But it is just a developer tool. It's not something that's ever going to come into the game.
Okay, that's what I was going to say.
Which is why they've given us the deconstruction system, which is our halfway house, if you like, to having a mobile crafting station. But yeah, I spotted that. Somebody tweeted about it, Bodhi. I saw that and thought that'd be pretty handy.
They do make it clear in those things that, like, hey, this is an interior server, and you know you're gonna mark all these enemies with the / command. Like, that's it.
Yeah. One thing that we haven't talked about today is that Finn also revealed in the walk through the dungeons with the different sets, the different armor sets. But I think we'll probably do that in the next episode once I've had time to be in the PTS and actually look at the sets. So one of the things I'll do on the next podcast is I'll go through the sets that are going to be coming up in the dungeons and the expected buffs and applicability and content for the 6 dungeon sets and the 2 monster sets that we'll get for the next DLC that's coming out at the start of March.
Yeah, I'm always interested to see sets just to see if this is the expansion that's going to be the one I change my build up. But we'll see.
You know, I'm desperate to for you to try things like DPSing.
I know. I don't want to. I love tanking so much. I'm still perfecting my builds.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like it's a work in progress always.
Mm-hmm.
I see you laughing on stream.
Well,
laughing at me.
No, I don't laugh at you. I laugh with you. Always.
I know.
So, Buddy's mentioning the aquarium house. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, they took us in there. They took us. It's a big space. It's like classic landmark style, like marquee homes with the interior spaces. Big house. It reminded me a little bit of a more pleasant version of the underground house you got in Murkmire. You know, you've got that under water viewing area in the house in Murkmire. But this one was much cleaner, much more aesthetically pleasing. It
was almost like a cross between that house and the Dark Brotherhood Sanctuary, too, where it's kind of like, it's not underground per se, but it's like you're like underneath a waterfall.
Yeah.
Not my thing. I won't be picking up the house likely, but I'm very excited for housing mancers and endgame housers, what they're going to do with it, because I do love seeing people's creations. Like,
if you want,
I can't wait to see what they're going to do.
Exactly, it's going to be incredible to see what people come up with.
Yeah.
It's interestingly, I think we've talked a little. Swaggler was talking earlier about the card game and whether it's going to be a success or not. The fact that they're going to connect furniture items as rewards to it guarantees you that there'll be many people playing it. Because housing mancers will want those unique furnishing items, and it will drive a lot of players towards the game.
And imagine if they're going to be like sellable. Oh my gosh! Or if you get like mats from them. Oh, it's gonna be good to sell.
Yeah, Ember Fairy saying the house reminded me of the Zanmir one in Merkmar. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Zanmir one. That's right. That's a really good house too. I've that's one of the larger houses that I've considered buying because it's just it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
It has like this grotto area. Oh, it's great. Yeah.
So Bodhi's mentioning a player's banned caught using the anti-cheat bot code. Is that for the code that watches for players moving without moving? Okay, yeah, I would assume that the multi-person mount will have taken that into account. Because the character would indeed be moving in-game, but there'd be no key input from that particular player's computer. So yeah, hopefully they would have dealt with that.
I bet you have to activate something, like you have to press E to ride them out or something.
Maybe. But equally, it's one of these big things. The game specifically looks for activity in game without a key strike. That's the big red flag, is that there has to be a key strike or extended key press for anything that's happening on screen for your character. That's one of the major ways the game combats cheating in PvP. And it's one of the big things in the terms of service, that no software, third-party software, can be used to automate activities on screen. So yeah, it's...
I don't even know if they had the two-person mount on sale at one point. Wow.
Yeah, I'm guessing it would be Ember Fairy. I guess it would be the reason they took it out, is because they couldn't fix that aspect of its usage in game. They couldn't marry the two systems together, the person's movement with the anti-cheat aspects of the game detection. I guess it's taken a while for them to fix those systems and make it mesh together.
Yeah. Wow. The horse looked cool though. It didn't look like it was any larger than normal.
Yeah, it just looked like it was an extra saddle just a little bit further back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I like two-person mounts a lot. That'll be easier when I'm like, when you find like a really cool off the beaten path kind of place, but it's hard to get to. So you just get on your mount, you get your partner on your mount, boom, just get up there. Or so you don't have to equip Miri with like I have her equipped with a really kind of noisy mount that gets annoying after a while.
Okay.
So I'm like, oh, now I can just have her pop on. I have her, yeah.
Oh, now this is,
nice.
I don't know if chat will agree with this or not, or indeed the listeners at various points if they give us feedback. The one thing I was disappointed with in the mount, the one thing that I was very disappointed with in the mount, is that when you see your companion Miri jump on behind you, there's a separate pommel for them to grasp behind you. They don't put their arms around your waist.
Oh.
That made me quite sad. That made me very sad.
Like rest their head on your back, on your shoulder.
Exactly. Where's the companionship there? Oh, they missed. Yeah. That's a missed opportunity to have Miri just wrap her arms around your waist while you're riding along. That would have been nice. Yeah. I would like that. And thank you for the follow, Scorpio. Thank you for the follow. And Ember Fairy, thank you both. That's really kind of you. I'm glad you're enjoying the stream.
Bodhi's mentioning the tabletop game that came out. They mentioned in it was like the last thing they mentioned. It was actually really cool.
Yeah.
Very, very cool.
I'm not a big tabletop fan, but I know it's a major thing for a lot of people, is having the ability to transpose an online environment to a board game environment. And yeah, hopefully it'll make some good sales. I know that other variants of I think there's other like character-based board game type combat games you can get for other aspects of Fallout and Skyrim as well. So it'll be interesting to see how this one goes.
Yeah, I think the Skyrim one's doing fairly well. They've had a couple of expansions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much... Yeah. I don't know if there's anything else that I
pretty all talked out. I don't think I've got anything else that I had in my notes that we needed to go through today. Yeah, wow. Yeah. I did have a quick look to see if there's any good chemistry stuff, alchemy stuff I could pull out for... Because I didn't prepare any material because I wanted to launch off the reveal to see if I could find something that was content specific to the new chapter. The only thing I can come up with, and I might save this for a later episode, is mother of pearl. Powdered mother of pearl is a really, really important ingredient that we use in game for some pretty top tier provisioning recipes. But it is an alchemy ingredient as well as a provisioning ingredient, just like many of the alchemy reagents are. Columbine is also used in some in-game provisioning recipes. There's a lot of interesting science behind powdered mother of pearl, but I'll probably save that for one of the later episodes when we actually get the new chapter. But that's one I will go into. There's some really interesting material science behind that. But there wasn't anything obvious that I could use with a nautical, like, ocean type theme other than that. And that's going to require a little bit of extra work to actually make it full enough for an episode. But we'll do that in one of the later episodes.
Yeah, and it'd be nice to have like actual like lore to go off of, and because I was gonna go through like general Breton stuff, but it can be irrelevant if it's Spanish localization. That is a huge thing too. I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
With a lot of, I mean, being in an area where there's a lot of Spanish speakers myself, I think that's a fantastic thing. Obviously, for those folks that the people who live in countries that are primarily Spanish speaking, and in general, I think it's awesome.
Yeah. No, it's a great step. Honestly, it's a global game. The developers should push as hard as they can to get proper localization in as many languages as possible. It just increases the player base and increases the health of the game and longevity of the game. So I think it's a fantastic development for the game. And it was really cool to see it announced yesterday.
Yeah, I was happy about that for sure.
So I think that's us. Should we wrap things up now?
Yeah, I'm good with that. We went 2.5 hours almost.
That's our standard length, pretty much, isn't it?
I know, seriously. And we filled it with just one subject, pretty much, this time.
Well, there's so much content, so many things to talk about. So, for the purposes of the VOD, so for the purposes of the audio recording, thank you to everyone for listening. We'll wrap things up here, look forward to welcoming you back to the next episode, which will be roughly in a month's time. So I've been Cynical Alchemist, and I bid you farewell.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for listening.
Okay, I'll cut the audio straight after that, so we can keep chatting.
Okay, cool.
So we'll wrap things up here on the stream. Thanks to everyone who's been here today. It's been a really, really active chat. It's been fantastic to basically bounce ideas around and answer questions and address concerns and comments from chat. It's been a really, really nice interactive session today. So thank you for that. Thank you very much, everyone.
Yeah, I think it brings it's that feel that you and I had talked about, where it's we're just at a tavern talking with our friends about stuff. So I liked that a lot. That was fun.
Really cool. I do have some thanks to give out and some acknowledgements. The channel's had quite a few follows today from Ember, from Scorpio. Icy gave us the fantastic raid. It's always nice to get raided by Icy and her community. She presides over one of the friendliest and most laid back and relaxed communities in the Elder Scrolls community. So it's always lovely when she brings her community over. So thank you again, Icy. Baba Yaga followed. Swag Overlord followed. Ham Hacks followed. Shuki dropped 10 gift subs today, and that was a fantastically generous gesture on his part. Stella gave us some cheers, and Tony followed just before the stream started, I think, earlier today. So it's been really active, really lively. So again, thank you everyone. It's traditional at this point that we should raid over to another channel. This will be our first broadcast raid, actually, Liv, because I think we normally just wrap things up. But we have stewardship over 29 viewers at the moment, and I think it behooves us to give them another place to go after we finished here. So let's have a quick look at see who's streaming. I'll check to see who's not just started.
Ninja's streaming, I think.
Ninja's been streaming. He's been streaming for 4.5, but he always goes for a lot longer than that. So I think Ninja's probably a good target, actually. That would be my pick of the ones that I've got on my list of subscriptions. We'll raid over to Ninja. I'm sure Ninja will also be engaging with his chat and his community about the new content, but he's doing community dungeons nights, so that's always a fun thing to watch, because Ninja he's such a great member of the community, a paragon, I would say. And he treats his community with great love. And one of the expressions of that love is he has community dungeon night, where he takes people can basically list their name on a waiting list, and he'll take them through hard content. He'll take them through trifectas and skin unlocks and all sorts of stuff. So he's an absolute diamond, and he's a very, very knowledgeable member of the community. And if people have got more questions about the content, he's going to be able to help, and people can chat with him there. So let's head over to Ninja. So let's.
Yeah, definitely.
So again, thanks everyone. Liv and I have had a fantastic time today. It's been wonderful.
Yeah, it's been so fun. Thank you so much. It's awesome. Just talking about this thing that we love with other people who love it also. It's just crazy.
Yes. All right. So let me just sort out the raid mechanics. Let me just quickly.
Okay. You guys have your beacon too.
I'll set up the raid, then I'll switch to the thanks for watching screen, and then you'll still hear me on audio until I switch this off. But then we'll pull the trigger on the raid. So he's been selected. So everyone, say hi to Ninja when we go over there. He's always welcoming for raids, and he's always good value. So let's start the raid. So it takes a few seconds for my Twitch mechanics to get ready to go. A few seconds. Alright, so the raid is ready to go now. So I'll switch to the thanks for watching screen, and then I'll click over the raid. So take care everyone, and I'll see people tomorrow. I'm streaming tomorrow, my normal stream, and Livia, I'm sure will be starting to do some more Skyrim streaming during the week. Let me just quickly pop into let's put some socials up before we raid over. Back chat window. Sweet, here we go. The podcast Twitter account can be accessed there. So check that out, and you will have links there to Livia's YouTube channel, which is where the VOD from this podcast will go up, and it's where Livia streams Skyrim. So please check her out when she's doing Skyrim, because she's great value to watch.
Thank you.
All right, so now we're ready to raid. So let's head over now, folks. You take care, and see you all next time.